Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Kat. I am the Nurse Flipper. I am a full-time reseller on eBay. I was a nurse for over 10 years and left nursing to resell. So this is another research video. This one's going to be on bolo ties, which is something that I feel like gets overlooked. And that is what I try to bring you information on in these research videos, is stuff that you might be seeing but you don't know the value in it. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so if you are not familiar, bolo ties are a string. They have a piece in the center, almost like my necklace here, and they typically are worn in Southwestern fashion. So I am going to start off with bolo ties at $50 and work my way all the way up to ones that sold for over $2,500. Bolo ties, in my experience, I have found them at estate sales. I have found them on online auctions, as well as grabbed a few at garage sales. So definitely keep an eye out. I will tell you, I've never found any at a thrift store. So if you have found a bolo tie at a thrift store, let me know. That way people know to look out for them there as well. First up is going to be this 1950s or 60s men's bolo tie made of wood and sterling. This has a really cool moon with cactuses on it. It is a Bennett tie, so if you look here on the back, you can see that it does say Bennett patent pending, and that is something that is on a lot of these higher dollar bolo ties. So keep your eye out for Bennett on the back of a bolo tie. This one sold right at $50. I think the seller probably could have got more for this after the research that I have done. So that brings up that it is super important to research this stuff, because after I did my research, that one sold for $50. I feel like they could have got quite a bit more if they had researched. I just listed a bolo tie last night for over $500. If you would like to look at that, it is on my eBay store. I will put the link to that down in the description, and you can see everything I personally have for sale. Up next is a Native American. This one is a beaded zuni. Really cool. This one sold for $59.99. You can see up close it was like a beaded pouch that just slides over the bolo tie, and that was a great sale at $60. Now, I will tell you the majority of these are going to be Native American. Most of them are also sterling, but that doesn't mean you can't find them, and it doesn't mean they won't be undervalued when you do find them. So up next is a vintage bolo tie. This one is an arrowhead made of agate. This one sold for $71.25. Here is the back of that bolo tie. It is not signed, and this one was a very pretty one, and in my opinion, this one's pretty simple, and that was a great sale at $71. Up next is a bolo tie, and I actually sold one very similar to this that I got for just a couple of dollars at a garage sale. So this is a 1972. I believe that was a mistype. They have 1072. This is a round braided, leather classy, formal bolo tie. So this is just a classic triangle here with the gold and the black. This one sold for $65. On the back, you can see it is marked, but the only thing that it is marked is made in the USA. This next one brings up a point that I would like to make to you, and that is, if things are different or they catch your eye, look them up. That is one of the ways that I've acquired as much knowledge as I have. I kind of question everything, and even if you think it's cheap, if it caught your eye, it could be worth some money. So this next one is a vintage hand-carved bovine bolo tie, ornate flowers. This one sold for $68. You can see it was marked here on the back. I cannot make that signature out, and I don't see that the seller put that it was signed, but that was a great sale at $68. This next one is pretty typical of what I like to pick up. It is a piece of art in a bolo tie. So This is a men's bolo tie, carved, one of a kind. So it has a carved elk on the front. This one was an auction. It got 25 bids and sold for $68. Here on the back, you can see it is not marked. This was just a really, really cool bolo tie. So again, if you find little pieces of artwork, whether they be in bolo ties or miniature pictures or whatever they are on, I would consider picking them up. Next is a moose. A moose. I don't know who would wear a moose on their bolo tie, but somebody obviously would. This is a vintage John Rasmussen Muse bolo tie, signed brass tips. This one sold for $79.99. I would have put 3D in that title. I like using 3D when things are three-dimensional. That is a great keyword. And here on the side of this bolo, you can see it was signed Rasmussen. All right, if you're crafty, this next one might be something you want to do. And the funny thing is, it's something that I sell a lot of and that I sell pretty cheap. I would say between $8 and $12 is the typical amount that I sell these for. So this is a bolo tie made of souvenir pens. So this is a unique bolo tie, Penn State Texas enameled pen. So it is in the shape of Texas, and it is like a mini collage of souvenir pens from the state of Texas. Here it is up close. You can see just really, really cool bolo tie, and on the back it just has a phone number. Not sure if maybe that's to the artist, but this was a great sale, coming in at $75. All right, next is a pretty simple one. It is sterling, and sterling pieces don't always sell high. Some of them sell lower. I sold quite a few rings and pendants at the $20 mark. This one sold for a little bit more. This is a Blended Cultures Celtic and Southwestern bolo tie sterling. It has a crowned heart, and this one sold for $90. Here is the back of this bolo tie. I do not see a sterling or 925 mark, so perhaps the seller just tested it, but this was a great sale, coming in at $90. All right, this next one, I see a lot of ones like this. This is a vintage petrified wood or agate. So the seller does not know exactly what this is. They put both in their title. It sold for $99. Here on the back, you can see that it is, again, not marked. It looks like there might be a small letter under one of those bolo ties, but they did not put that in their title, and they did put two. So if you're not sure what something is, don't be afraid to put either or. Put a question mark, show good photos, and let the buyer decide for themselves whether they want to purchase it. And I think that was a great sale, coming in at $100. This next one is actually made of the same thing my ring is made of. So when we went up to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, we did some gem mining, and I found some labradorite, and that is what I got my ring made of here. So you can see really, really pretty flashy stone, and this next bolo tie is made of the same thing. So this is an unusual vintage bolo tie, flat mineral sheet, labradorite, or possibly spectrolite. This one sold for $99.99. So pretty simple bolo tie there, just a triangle. It had the labradorite in it, and it sold for $100. So don't think that simple ones won't sell. You need to make sure you take great photos and keyword them well. All right, a lot of people think if things are customized, that means they won't sell. I want to tell you that that is not true, and this next item definitely shows that. So this is an estate signed handmade natural stone inlay. So they didn't even put the type of stone. It is sterling silver. It has a B on it. They did put custom. This one sold for $99.95. You can see they put estate in the title. They also put sign. So here is the back showing that it is marked sterling. It looks kind of like a V there for the maker's mark. So that seller did not have a name as far as who it was signed by, but they still put signed, and I definitely like doing that as well. All right, next is a really simple sterling. So again, most of these are sterling silver, so you got to keep an eye out and Most auction houses and people at garage sales are going to know to pull sterling out. So you might have to pay up for these a little bit, but it definitely could be worth it. So this is a Fitch Brothers Bolo sterling silver diamond rope edge. And I do use rope edge when I have pieces of jewelry that have that braided edge. This one sold for $115.57. I'm not sure how they knew this was Fitch Brothers. Here it is on the back, and I did not see where it was signed. Next is another one with a stone. So watch out for these with stones, especially if they are made with stones and sterling silver. This is a stunning large sterling silver rose quartz Southwestern quality bolo tie. This one sold for $124.99. Now you can see here on the back it was marked silver twist, and it actually was signed Eve Seymour and sterling, but that seller did not put that in the title, so I'm unsure if maybe that was an unknown artist and that wouldn't have helped their listing, but perhaps it could have made it sell for even more. Next is one that is, to me, pretty simple. It is sterling with black onyx, and it brought a pretty good price. So this is a sterling overlay, so it is not solid sterling. This is a 1.5 inch black onyx silver tips. This one sold for $139.99. Here on the back you can see the sterling stamp, and that was a great sale for a pretty plain bolo tie. All right, next is one with a coin in it, and I have found several of them. I will tell you, I would say the majority of bolo ties are gonna sell between $20 and $40. These are the outliers, but I wanted to show you them so you know what to look for. But make sure you find comps before you go paying a lot for one of these bolo ties. This next one is a Native American Navajo 1922 piece silver dollar coin. This one sold for $160. Here on the back you can see it looks like a bear footprint. It does have BB, and then it also has marked sterling. All right, we are moving up to those that are selling for over $150, and again we are going to go up to over $2,000 for one single bolo ties. There were quite a few lots of bolo ties that went for big money, but I did not show them because I'm wanting to show you these individually to kind of train your eye to look for these while you're outsourcing. So this next one is a vintage Gommers sterling silver dendritic agate landscape bolo Native American. This one sold for $179. Again, this is another one that was marked Bennett patent pending. It was signed Gommers, but keep an eye out for Bennett, and you're gonna see quite a few more of them here coming up, but this one was a great sale at $179. Now, with most of these Bennett patent pending, I'm thinking that individual artists were designing for Bennett. So the majority of the Bennett pieces are marked Bennett patent pending, and they are also signed. Now, another thing that could have happened is that the actual clasp on the bolo tie is what was designed by Bennett, and that just could show the age. I have seen that before where the actual clip or a piece of a jewelry is patented to a particular company, but that gives away the age that it was made. So next up is a NKL Ashteen sterling silver multicolored Western bolo tie. This one sold for $175. Here on the back you can see it is marked NKL Ashteen, and it is another one that says Bennett patent pending. All right, now we are going to start getting into some of the Native American. I will tell you all of the higher dollar ones are Native American silver bolo ties, so that is definitely something to keep an eye out for. This next one is the Native American Navajo Rich Boulder. This has a big piece of turquoise. It was a sterling silver bolo tie. Here on the back, again, you see that Bennett patent pending clip. I am again leaning towards these clips being patent pended, and that it has nothing to do with the actual artist. This next one is one that looks really different. It is a mixed stone, so keep an eye out for mixed stone items. This is a vintage signed Ernie Amsate silver inlay multi-stone bolo tie. This one sold for $200. Beautiful, beautiful mixed stone artwork. And here is the back of that, showing that it was signed by the artist. This next one kind of reminds me of really, really bright mid-century modern kind of abstract artwork, and it's really, really cool. This is a vintage Acme Studios Optima Memphis bolo tie designed by Ettore Sotsas. This one sold for $205. Really, really cool piece of artwork there. It actually kind of reminds me a little bit of like a John Brito style, and this was a great sale. This next one is actually gold, so keep your eye out. A lot of people have gold and don't even realize that it is gold because they think of this stuff more as costume jewelry. So this is a vintage JL Houston gold nuggets. It is a grizzly bear 10K. I believe this was either an etching or a painting. This one sold for $207, and here on the back you can see the JL mark as well as 10 karat. This one is really cool, and they do use modernness in the keywords. So if you are trying to price something like this, look at ones that look similar, look at the keywords they're using to describe that style, and that will help buyers to help find your item easier. Now, this next one is a vintage BG Mud Corrales, New Mexico modernist sterling black onyx and jasper bolo tie. Sold for $239.95. Here's the back showing it was signed BGM as well as being marked 925. The next one was an auction, and it was definitely one of a kind. And again, if stuff catches your eye, look it up. Look it up. This is a vintage sterling sauerkraut bolo tie. It is a can of sauerkraut. It was an auction. It had 30 bids. It sold for $265. Here is the back showing that it was signed, and it was another one with the Bennett patent pending clip for the bolo tie, but this was an amazing, amazing sale on something that just looked a little bit different. Now, if you want to find stuff that looks different or things that are kind of out of your wheelhouse, I would recommend Cha-Ching King. I am wearing his shirt. Scott is an absolutely amazing reseller as well as a YouTuber just like myself, and he does a lot of things that I am not familiar with. I have learned a lot by watching what he is posting, and he does a lot of very high dollar items as well. So if you haven't checked Scott Cha-Ching King out, definitely give him a follow over on Instagram and here on YouTube, because he brings some incredible knowledge to the table. He came and spoke at my Tennessee learning retreat, and he was an absolutely amazing person to meet. He gave me this t-shirt. He gave everybody at the camp t-shirts for free. Just a really, really great guy, and he actually will be my guest this coming up Tuesday along with Rachel Strickland, so be sure to tune in for that as well. Now, this next one is something I absolutely love, or the subject matter is. I've never found a bolo tie with this, but it is Storyteller. So Storyteller pottery and figurines sell for big money as well, but this is a bolo tie. So this is a Native American Storyteller sterling silver cowboy steer mountains moon bolo tie. That is packed full of keywords. That seller was very smart. This one sold for $265. Here on the back you can see it was signed RR, and that was a great, great sale. This next one is another stone. So this is a big purple stone. So watch for big. People like big, and try to identify the stones using Google Lens if at all possible. So this is a vintage 1990s hand-wrought sterling silver purple charoite large bolo tie. It sold for $295. You can see how big this stone is next to the quarter in the front photo, and here it is up close. A really cool purple swirl stone, and that was a great sale at almost $300. This next one is another gold one. So when it comes to bolo ties, most of the high dollar are precious metals, meaning they are silver or gold. And this one is another gold one. So this is an antique 14 karat and 12 karat rose gold horseshoe and 4-leaf clover bolo tie. This one sold for $300. This one you can see doesn't have the actual tie. If you look at the back here, that is what the bolo tie would slide through. So if you happen to find a piece of jewelry with something like this on the back, chances are it goes to a bolo tie. This next one really caught me off guard because I wouldn't think it would sell for over $300, but it did. This is a sterling silver Peruvian quartz crystal and pyrite wire mesh cord. This one sold for $340. If you look at it here in the hand, it's got like the crystals growing in every direction. That makes me think of like it was chipped off the side of a cave or a science project that somebody grew in their house. But this was a really cool one and a great sale at $340. Next is another purple stone. The purple stones are coming in for really big prices. So this is a sterling silver and purple stone. They didn't even put what kind of stone it was. Signed bolo tie with feathers. It was signed MW. This one sold for $345. Here on the back you can see where it was signed, and this was a great sale. All right, if you do not know, amber sells for good money. I have found a couple of pieces of almost like raw amber in brooches, and they will sell really high if you can find amber that has kind of insects trapped inside of it. But this next one, I didn't see any insects, but this was a really good sale. This is a amber bolo tie Western necklace. This one is 100% natural amber, sold for $385. You can see it there in the hand, so it's a very large piece of amber. And here it is, they kind of use the hat as a prop so you can see the size of it, and that was a great sale. This next one is really cool looking. It is a cat. I believe it's a jaguar, but the kicker with this is the actual tips of the bolo tie at the end of the string. So I want you to pay attention to that. This is a Raymond Wayako Puma cat bolo tie inlaid mother of pearl and turquoise. It says it is Zuni. This one sold for $399.99. And here you can see the cat, and the paws on the end of this bolo tie are really amazing. I saw quite a few that had very different ends on the bolo ties that sold for good money. And if you're wondering how they knew it was Zuni, it's because it is signed here on the back. It says Raymond Wayako, and it also says Zuni. Now we are getting into some of the higher dollar Native American pieces. So with these, you can pay attention to the look. You also can pay attention to the artist. Most of these artists most likely made more than just bolo ties, so you can watch out for it on rings, necklaces, bracelets. Just keep an eye out for these artists. So this next one is a sterling silver Navajo opal bolo with shell marks. Beautiful. I agree with that seller. I don't know that I would have put that in my title, but this one sold for $400. You can see on the bottom there it does have the feather, and this is an absolutely beautiful big piece of opal. Next artist name is Macefield. So this is an excessively rare. Again, I don't think I would have used excessively. I might have used rare if it truly is a rare piece. This is a signed sterling and large turquoise. Again, the word modernist is used. Bolo tie. This one sold for $499.95. Here is the back of it. You can see up top that it is signed Macefield. And most of these are pretty easy to read that I've seen so far. This next one I like a lot. It has a wagon in it, and it is sterling and turquoise. That is going to be the theme on all of the rest of these items. This is a Native American artist Dishta wagon wheel. This is a turquoise and coral along with sterling. Very, very beautiful bolo tie. I love the work on the wagon. This one sold for $595. Here is the back of this one, and you can see it is signed down on the bottom, and it would be easy to identify. All right, we are up to our top 10. These are going to go from $669 up to over $2,000. So definitely remember the names of these artists and remember how these bolo ties look. This is a vintage Navajo carved turquoise. This is one big piece of turquoise with an eagle carved out of it. Absolutely amazing. This one was an auction. It got 34 bids, sold for $669.79. And here is the back of this one. You can see the sterling mark. I do not see an artist signature on that one, but that was an absolutely great sale. Next is a pretty simple one, but it sold for almost $700. So this is a cedar staff southwestern turquoise and coral sterling silver engraved bolo tie. This one sold for $675. You can see it in the hand there. This one really is not an overly large piece. And here is the back showing where it is signed sterling as well as cedar staff. This next one says it's a meteorite. I'm not really sure if it is, but it definitely looks cool and it looks different. This is a vintage 10 karat yellow gold palisite meteorite bolo tie. It sold for $699.95. Definitely different looking, really, really cool. So that is something to keep an eye out for. This next one is a really cool Navajo piece. It actually reminds me a little bit more of the Zuni style of jewelry. This one is a vintage Navajo turquoise Kachina bolo tie by Larry Moses Begay. I will tell you, I know that Begay does other types of jewelry, so watch for his name. His stuff sells for big, big money. This Kachina bolo tie sold for $825.50. Absolutely amazing. You can see it here with the quarter. This is a very, very big piece. You also can see on the back that it is signed LMB sterling, and this was a great, great sale. Next one is an inlaid one, and I love the inlaid jewelry that is pieced together like a puzzle. It definitely is very eye-catching to me, very, very cool, and this one was a big seller. This is a vintage Bantea pheasant bolo tie, so it does have the flying pheasant there. You can see this one has turquoise, coral, and mother of pearl inlay. Beautiful, beautiful piece. This one sold for $899. Here on the back, you can see it is signed Bantea. It does have 170 mark. I'm going to assume that's probably how many grams it was. And then we have another Begay piece. Again, definitely someone to look out for. This is a silver and lapis Sunrays Navajo handmade bolo tie, Eric Begay. This one sold for $990. Beautiful, beautiful piece. You can see on the back here, this one is signed Eric Begay and would have been very, very easy to identify. All right, now we are up over 1,000. So these artist pieces definitely bring a very, very good selling price. This is a sterling silver. This is another inlay one. So this is a Kachina doll inlay. Very, very cool. They did not even have that in the title. This is by Jim Harrison. And here on the back, you can see it is a very, very clearly signed Jim Harrison sterling, and it also says handmade. And this was a great, great sale at $1,200. Next is another pretty simple yet intricate design. This one is Jennifer Curtis Navajo hand stamped turquoise concho bolo tie. This is a really, really pretty oval, kind of a sun design around a piece of turquoise, and it sold for $1,636. Absolutely insane sale. Here it is marked on the back. You can see it does say J. Curtis and sterling, and that was an absolutely amazing piece. This next one is almost like a little miniature diorama in a bolo tie. This is Hogan Knight Navajo Important Turquoise Sterling Silver Bolo Tie. This one sold for $2,619. If you look at this, it's got the city and it's kind of split. Half of it's inlay, half of it is carved sterling along with a stone. This was a great sale at $2,600. All right, we have one left and it sold for over $2,600. And then I am going to show you a bolo tie I listed yesterday for over $500. So this last one up is a 14 karat gold. This is solid gold diamond horse bolo tie. So it's got the horseshoe. It has got really pretty diamond inlays. And this one sold for $2,753. So if you have not been looking at bolo ties, please start. They might not be as high as these ones that I've showed you, but if you can pick them up for a low cost and sell them for 20, 40, 50 bucks, definitely a great thing to add to what you are selling. And they're very small and easy to photograph and ship. And now I am going to show you the bolo tie that I just listed for over $500. All right, so here is the one that I just listed for over $500. It is a kachina. Beautiful piece here. And I did get this on an online high bid auction. I paid $100, but I have it listed at over $500. Now you can see on the bottom, it is marked sterling. And you can see on the top here a maker's mark under that sterling. It almost looks like a cross. I have not, it's also under there, right there. I have not been able to identify that maker's mark, but I do think I should be able to get at least $400 for this bolo tie. Absolutely amazing carved sterling silver. I mean, look at this really cool kachina dancer with the feathers. I actually believe this is eagle kachina. I do have a few of those dolls. So if you're wondering where I get the idea for these research videos, a lot of it is like that. I just happened to list that yesterday, so I decided to do bolo ties today. But I also get ideas straight from you. So if you have something you would like me to research, please let me know in the comments. I do prefer like broad topics. I don't want to do a particular brand or a very small niche, because I want to be able to show different kinds of items that people can look out for. I hope you've had a really great week. We went on the boat yesterday. If you can't tell, I got a little bit of sun, and we didn't catch anything to keep, but we caught a really cool baby shark. I will put the footage of that on the end of this video. And my daughter caught a stingray, which was quite a fight and fun to get off of the hook. All of the fish were released unharmed that we caught yesterday. We did not bring any home with us. Hopefully we will be going fishing at least once a week, and we'll be able to figure out where the fish are. I am not going to argue if you have been fishing in Crystal River and Homosassa and could give me some spots for some fish. I will not argue with you. So tomorrow we have live sourcing. I have found quite a few bolo ties for people during our live sourcing. So if you're not a member yet, click the join button below any video. You do need to be looking on a computer most times. And we will have our live sourcing membership tomorrow at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're not a member, that is perfectly fine. I will see you on Monday with another What Sold. And I will tell you guys, I sold over $1,000 in teacups yesterday. So if you want to see those, you'll have to go look on Instagram. That's probably not going to be on YouTube. So go follow me over on Instagram, The Nurse Flipper. And I'm going to do a video here in a little bit showing the 2 teacups that sold combined for over $1,000. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will see my members tomorrow. Let's take a look at the baby shark. Come here. Watch out so he doesn't get you.